we are going to review a Surron from a land of Mordor. Alright guys, I think I'm just an old school petrol head. I just like my two-stroke a little bit more. It needs to make a noise when you ride it. But my boy Timmy, he's 10. He really likes this thing. So we're gonna hit the trails. He will be on Surron. I'll be on my KTM 300. Let's see how it goes. My son Timothy does not have a lot of experience on the dirt bikes. We've been riding 5-6 times on a track on his TTR 125, the 4-stroke Yamaha. But I think he was doing pretty good progress. And he tried this thing, the electric Surron, and he loved it from the first moment he rode it. He's actually bugging me to buy this kind of bike for him, but I'm not really sure about it yet because it's not cheap, and I would rather have him get really good on a dirt bike first, and then we can play with electric stuff. But it's cool to have this bike on a little test like this and see what he can do on it with like pretty much zero experience. I flip it on the eco mode, which is not really too fast, and it can go 3 hours no problem. The suspension is good for him. Look, it's all nicely moving. He can go over these little rocks, stand up and just work on his balance, and not bad. I would definitely stay on the petrol bike or gas bike, whatever you call it, a combustion chamber engine. I will stay on these bikes as long as I can, but if I want to be riding well in my 50s and 60s, I would have to do a transition, I think. So if I can choose couch or electric dirt bike, I will take electric dirt bike any day. I think Timmy is looking pretty good on it. We went through a few little challenging sections, but he just pulled through it. Looks like he has a decent control. The bike is not pulling him to the sides. He can control it and manage the speed, the brakes. Decent way to introduce trail riding to your kids. Timmy is riding on a TTR 125, which is way heavier than this bike. So when he jumped on this thing, he really liked how the light it feels in his hands. And the torque on this thing is actually pretty good. It pulls as good or maybe even better as 125. If you go on a sport mode, I mean, that thing pulls wheels with me. And it can go 55 miles per hour. I just did, it has a km/h speedo, and I did 80 km per hour, which is pretty fast for this little thing. Kind of feel like a bicycle in some way, and you can do 80 km per hour on it. That's not slow for a bicycle. Look at that. Good job. That's how he builds the confidence. Going through some challenging stuff, you know, and just commit and go for it. Look at that, how nimble it is. Just pick his line, no problem. Switch inside, outside. This doesn't look like a lot on a GoPro, but actually for the kid who doesn't have a lot of experience, this is quite a challenging terrain. Off-camber things, you know, a lot of washouts and big rocks, small rocks, things that can surprise you.
Alright Timmy, so what do you think, what is your first impression of this bike? I didn't know I had good suspension and power because the first time I rode it, I just rode it around in circles. I didn't really go uphill or do bumpy stuff or anything. But then when I hit the trail, there were these rocks, and usually on my bike would go crazy if I just went through the rocks. But with this bike, I went through it, and it didn't move. It just went straight through it like I was going on the flat road. And the power, there's been some uphills. I just hit the gas and I can go straight up the hill. And the speed, I think, is 99 per hour because whenever I turn it on, it says max 99.
Max 99? I don't know, that's maybe the battery. We have you on the eco mode, which is slower. I didn't want you to be on a sport mode because the sport mode, this thing goes on 55 miles per hour. That's pretty much the speed limit on a highway where we live. So, man, that's too fast for you. How do you feel? Would you pick this bike over your dirt bike when we go on the trails, or you would rather prefer your TTR 125?
This bike.
This bike?
But on the track, I'll take that bike.
Okay. So why do you like this one on the trails?
It's great suspension, like I already said, great power, and enough speed if you do an econ mode.
How does it feel in your hands? Is it light? Is it heavy?
It feels light. It's not that heavy. It's like, yeah.
Medium. You know, this is a bike for the grown-ups, and you being 10 years old, you still have some growing to do. But I think you look good on it, and I think the size fits you pretty good. What do you think?
I think so too.
Yeah? You feel like we should buy one, right? Alright guys, so we are getting a little rain on us, but what I wanted to say is that this little thing I think is an amazing way to start your kids on the trails. Timmy has a really great time, and as I said, he's not really experienced trail rider, but he did pretty good picking up the lines, going through some tougher sections, and he did okay. He managed the brakes, he managed the throttle, and he pretty much managed this thing. It's first day today for him to ride trails on this thing. Plus, if you live in an apartment building, if you live somewhere in the city, if you live somewhere not like this is my backyard, 30 minutes from my house, but if you live in a city and you want your kids to get a little off-road fun, to get some fresh air, you can also hit the mountain bike trails that are maybe closer to your city, somewhere right outside in the suburbs. You can park this thing on your balcony, you can take it to your elevator, it doesn't leak any oil, it doesn't smell, you don't need to change the air filters. I think it's a pretty good way to start this off-road fun. What do you think, Timmy?
I think so too.
Okay. So, right, my friends, that's about it for today. Let me know below in the comments, and don't forget.
Whatever you do, stay motivated.
See you guys later.